And then without any further delay, we will start our presentations. We just follow the order from the RTTO. So we'll start from the first, Pak Michael, with the title Online Training, the Application of Society 5.0 Concept. Okay.
I will play the video shortly.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Michael from Bina Nusantara University. My presentation today is entitled Online Training, the Application of the Society 5.0 Concept. As human evolves, we started with Society 1.0, which focused on hunting to survive. And then we had Society 2.0, emphasizing on agriculture. When machine was invented and mass production started, there was also the beginning of Society 3.0. Society 4.0 was characterized by the advancement of technology and the flooding of information. And now we are embracing Society 5.0, or known as Super Smart Society. The idea of Society 5.0, or Super Smart Society, is that the advancement of technology and information is used for a more prosperous society. The concept of human-centered society, which is supported by the applications of technology. The Internet of Things, or IoT, artificial intelligence, or AI, and big data are used to give us maximum impact for our life, for our future. And then, teaching learning process and knowledge attainment should not be separated from this advancement of technology. A lot of companies and businesses have provided trainings for their employees. A lot of times, especially here in Indonesia, the trainings are conducted on a face-to-face method. To save some time and cost, usually companies will gather their employees at this one event, and they make it as a full-day event. And this training can last like 1 day or even 3 days. However, this training is not that effective, because by the end of the training, a lot of times, their trainees or the employees are too tired. They don't even remember what they have learned. They won't be able to even implement in their work. In this Society 5.0, and especially at this COVID-19 pandemic, online training, in which training together with technology can be considered a very nice, good alternative. Therefore, this research is intended to find out the effectiveness of online training, and at the same time to see the perspective of the trainees or the employees on online training. This research can be categorized as a mixed method research, because we gathered quantitative results and qualitative results. The quantitative results were gathered from the test results, the pre-test and the post-test results, and the qualitative data was obtained from the questionnaire results. So the setting of this research was in a private bank in Jakarta with 30 employees as the subjects of this research. The employees' age range was between 23 and 27, so they are basically millennials, and their English level was at the beginner level. So we put these 30 employees into 2 different groups. The first group was the control group, and the second group was the experimental group. Each group consisted of 15 employees. Both of them, or both groups, would be given a pre-test questions, 20 questions of tenses, and then after that they would be given different treatments, and after the treatments they would be given the post-test, and then after that, the experimental group respondents or subjects would be given the questionnaire. For the control group, they would be taught in a face-to-face method. So they would meet the teacher for 15 sessions, 1 hour per sessions, and the teacher would spend around 20 minutes discussing about the materials, explaining about the theories and all the stuff, and then the rest of the time would be used for the class to do the exercise and to discuss if they got some problems. That teaching sessions or that teaching style was used for the same 15 sessions. Now, for the experimental group, the teacher or the same teacher never met the students at all or never met the employees at all. So the 15 sessions were conducted on the full online training sessions. All of them used Microsoft Teams because it was an all-in-one platform, and also because the bank subscribed for the program or the service, so it would be much easier for them to use this Microsoft Teams. So the teacher would upload the materials or the PowerPoints with a voiceover like this, and probably some examples or some exercises on Microsoft Teams a few days before the class sessions. And then on the scheduled time or the scheduled day, they would conduct the video call training sessions for more or less 30 minutes. And then the participants or the subjects in this experimental group could discuss or do the exercise or help each other by using the Microsoft Teams platform. After 15 sessions, both groups would be given the post-test, and then after that, the subjects of the experimental group would be gathered to fill in some questionnaire for the qualitative data. This figure shows the results of the pre-test. As we can see here, that most subjects from both groups scored below 40 and also scored between 40 and 60. Only a few of them scored between 61 and 80, but none of them scored above 81. This basically proved that they were. Shows the results of the post-test. And as we can see here, both groups experienced significant improvement. In the control group, most of the subjects scored between 61 and 80, and 2 subjects scored above 81, while the experimental group actually shows a more drastic improvement with 9 subjects, the majority of them scored between 81 and 100. This can be a very good indicator that online training can give improvements for the employees or the trainees. Now we are going to the results of the qualitative research. So the first questions we asked to the respondents or the subjects here was about the idea of online learning, and 13 subjects expressed that they were unfamiliar with this idea of online learning because they mostly experience face-to-face training methods, while 2 subjects were quite familiar with the idea of online learning because they had already taken some online courses earlier. The second questions we asked the subjects was about their experience trying online learning, and one subject mentioned that it took quite some time for her to adapt. However, she was more comfortable after 3 meetings with online learning, and she started to get accustomed to it. While 14 subjects basically expressed their ideas that they were totally fine and they experienced no significant problems at all, They only needed a very short time to familiarize themselves with Teams because the user interface was pretty simple and practical. And also, those 14 subjects mentioned that they used most of the features on Teams. When the subjects were asked about the benefits or the advantages of online learning, they pointed out 3 points here. The first one was the materials. They say they could learn beforehand and they could also search for more information before attending the video conference with the teacher. They also mentioned about online conference style because they say they were more comfortable with video calling and they were quite happy with the chatting features. This made the situations more enjoyable and less formal, so it gave them more motivations. The last point that they pointed out here was about the idea of discussions and collaboration. So the Teams or the Microsoft Teams or the program here helped them to discuss and help each other regardless of the time and the place they were at that time. The subjects were also asked about the disadvantages of online learning, and they all mentioned amazingly that they did not find any significant problems. However, they pointed out that internet connection could become one of their main problems, which is not surprising here in Indonesia. The last question asked the subjects about their overall opinion, and unanimously they all mentioned that they were very happy with online training. And this is not very surprising because their age range between 23 to 27, and they are millennials, which means they are pretty familiar with the use of technology in their life. As the idea of Society 5.0 is to integrate our work and our daily lives with technology in order to make us more prosperous, online training has been proven as the concept of Society 5.0. And at the same time, online training can be a better alternative for training compared to the traditional training method, as it is more effective and it gives drastic improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Michael. This is interesting topic about the online training, especially during the pandemic situations. Any question for these presentations, please?
I ask
Okay,
questions.
Lutfia. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you. It's an interesting topic, Pak Michael. I want to ask what kind of treatment that you give to the experiment groups compared to the control groups? And then secondly, did you do the t-test or uji beda to measure whether the differences is different significantly between both groups? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, Pak Michael, please.
Okay, thank you, Pak. Thank you, Ibu, for the questions. Because of the limited time of the recording, I couldn't really point this out, but this research is basically a preliminary research. So the data that I showed here may not be fully developed or fully analyzed, but the idea of the treatment that you are talking about, at that point we were focusing on the idea that a control group was given or was trained face-to-face, just like the normal training sessions that we usually have, while the experimental group experienced a full online session. So they never met the teachers face-to-face, so everything was conducted totally online. So it was just like having an online course. So that's the difference between the control and the experimental group. And to answer the second question, yes, I have to admit that as this is a preliminary research, so we may not we may not analyze too much for now. So we just look at the pre-test and the post-test, and how the respondents or how the subjects improved after 15 sessions. Hopefully that answers the questions, Ibu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bapak.
Pak Michael,
Yes.
I'm just curious, why the experiment group rise very high achievement comparing to the control group? Is there any reason for this?
Actually, I didn't put this because, like I said, we haven't fully developed. But based on our conversations, we found out that they did a lot of discussions, or they did a lot of collaborations outside of the training time. So that's actually one advantage of the online training that we didn't point out here, or we haven't pointed out yet, was that there's no restrictions of time and place. When those who are doing the face-to-face training, they probably didn't have much collaborations or discussions outside of the training sessions. But this experimental group, they kept doing the discussions because it's online, so it's like chatting. They even practiced while having just casual talk on Teams, for example. So we thought that it might be one of the possible, not treatment, but maybe one of the most possible reasons why they got some improvement compared to the control group.
Okay, thank you. It's really interesting because this semester we have online session more on our lecturing. My experience, it's not really easy to teach my students to deliver the concept and everything while it's only through online, because usually we do it face to face and direct interaction. But yeah, it's really curious for the to do the further analysis about your research. So thank you very much, Pak Michael.
Thank you, Pak.
And then I think we can continue to the second presentations. It is the title, Social Media Communication for Awareness and Attitude Toward Mental Health Issues. Ibu Fauziah Nabila Bisri.
Play the video shortly.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Fauziah Nabila Basri, and I would like to do a presentation about social media communication for awareness and attitude towards mental health issues. My paper ID is 3063. First of all, I would like to talk about the introduction, and it will be divided in two parts. The first one is mental health, and the second one is social media Twitter. I believe that every human in the world has the right to have physical and spiritual health. A person who is mentally healthy is someone that free from mental health illness or mental health disorders, have a strong will on facing pressures, able to deal with problems, and understand their own capacity. Mental health problems in Indonesia must be a public concern. Why? Because in 2019, 15.6 million people are getting depressed, but unfortunately only 8% that getting medicated. The victim who is depressed and also committed suicide were those adolescents and in their productive age, around 15 until 29 years old. The number of cases and many tragic stories must be a public concern, and I think more cases can be prevented if people have adequate knowledge about the mental health issues and also have a positive attitude towards a person with mental health problems, especially a youth, so they can give appropriate response to the person who has mental health problems. Fortunately, we live in a modern era where information can be easily obtained and disseminated. Moreover, Majority young people obtain information from social media such as Twitter because various social media can disseminate information quickly. And young people think Twitter have a valid information and knowledgeable people that involved in Twitter. But unfortunately, social media give negative impact to youth mental well-being and considered one of the causes of mental health problems. Based on the above consideration, this study aims to find out young people's opinions, knowledge, and response about mental health issues and people with mental health problems, and to find out the role of social media Twitter to young people about the importance of mental health. Next, we would like to talk about the mental health issues and social media. This study explores the benefit of social media, especially Twitter, to improve youth awareness and attitude towards mental health issues. Actually, the internet provides potential benefits for health behavior interventions, including faster access, information, and support, ability to provide up-to-date scientific knowledge, and so on. One of the main motives of youth using social media is social interactions, increased bonding relationship, and also reduced feeling of loneliness because believe me, youth people have a lot of friends in social media than in real life. Besides, the presence of social media make the users feel happier, and it could be the place to spread happiness and gain happiness from others. Also, it can be accessed so easily through your mobile phone and laptop and computer. Next, we would like to talk about the benefits of Twitter. Twitter provides several benefits, which is media to communicate and interact, giving a lot of new knowledge about social mental health, and opinion can be expressed freely in Twitter. Many users in Twitter provide encouragement and motivation, and it can be useful for others, especially for people who require motivation to get positive energy. Twitter also can be a platform that educate the public as well as a medium to influence the wider community about mental health education. Next, we will talk about the methodology. Based on the objective, the appropriate research method is qualitative method. Why? Because it attempts to present the social world and its perspective in the world, such as behavior, perception, attitude of human being. For the data collection itself, this research used semi-structured interview. And the participants that we interview are year 19 until 25 years old. The data was analyzed qualitatively, marking the keywords and the key ideas, and used 3 levels of coding process, which is open coding, axial coding, and selective coding. And when the coding process is done, the researchers perform synthesis and conclusion. Next, we have result and discussion. The awareness and attitude towards mental health illness and towards person with mental health problems are grouped into 3 descriptions: knowledge, attitude, and action. While the role of social media for mental health campaign, Twitter, can be grouped into 2 descriptions: information and public figure. Awareness. Knowledge. Awareness can be seen from their knowledge of mental health. The informant with adequate knowledge was seen to have better awareness, and they gain knowledge from the media by self-educating, discussion on the social media, looking at the events around them, personal experience, they met a real person who have mental disorders, and they sought to find out more about mental health problems. The informant are aware people experience depressions and anxiety. They also understand that depression is the first step of a mental health disorders and it can lead to a more severe level of dangers. The informant are all concerned about the lack of a variety of information about mental health education in Indonesia, and they insist the mental health education is very important and urgent. Secondly, attitude. All informants have a positive and supportive attitude towards a person who have mental health problems. They were not judgmental at all on people who experience mental health problems, and they believe that social media can be beneficial because the sufferer can get social support and can be helped immediately. Informants even regret that many people still criticize with sarcasm words that postings and relating mental health problems with religiosity. Though in reality, those are very, very different. Third, action. The informant will try to be a good listener, build emotional bonds, and build sense of trust and security that makes the sufferer feel comfortable and can openly telling their problems. All informants try to build a supportive social environment and will help their friends who is experiencing mental problems to seek expert help and not try to do a self-diagnose. In all, the knowledge and positive attitude towards mental health issues gained from the information and knowledge that shared in social media. The role of social media for mental health campaign have two descriptions, information and public figure. Information. Twitter is a social media that provides a variety of complete and accurate information. They consider that Twitter is more reliable and credible because many Twitter users who are expert or academics. However, information that refers to education about mental health from health organizations on Twitter is still rarely found. Therefore, the level of awareness towards mental health issues is still low, and people are not very interested in information about mental health. Secondly, public figure. The role of public figure to build awareness and as an influencer on every mental health education campaign is enormous. Therefore, all mental health organizations should optimally utilize public figures who showed attention to mental health issues to build public awareness and educate society. These study results show that youth are starting to care about mental health issues and have already demonstrated a fairly good knowledge and attitude on this issue. So, what is needed is massive activities and promotion of mental health education programs and spreading them through social media platforms because most of youth using social media as a reliable source of information. Last but not least, conclusion. Youth showed good awareness and positive attitude on mental health issues. They already have awareness of mental health issues, also have a strong will to do right action to support person with mental health problem, and they totally understand the importance of mental health education. Therefore, education about mental health needs to be encouraged to expand its reach to a broad audience by utilizing social media. Social media plays an important role to raise awareness of the importance of mental health issues, especially when the mental health organization can utilize public figure as an influencer to gain public attention and public engagement on every mental health campaign. That's all my presentation, everyone. Thank you for listening. Remember, if you believe, you can. The power of mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Fauziah Nabila Basri. I think it's really, really important, this topic, especially in this pandemic situations. Mental health is really, really, we have to raise this concern. Question from Pak Servo Kesar Prayoga. I just read from the chat here. I would want to ask your opinion about today's mental health online services and applications such as Calm, Relief, Some, Mindshift, WhatsApp, etc. we were still lacking 24 hours hotline facilities as well as people's awareness about such needs. And how do you see the potential of these new platforms ahead?
Okay, I think the potential is very good since sometimes people who have mental health problems needs someone to talk and consultation. But about the lacking 24 hours hotline facilities, I think Indonesia already have one. It's when you call 119, there will be a people that answer the phone, and then they will just listen to your stories and just be there. It's 24 hours because it's my pengalaman. Yeah, I've been there before, and around 1 a.m. I tried to call 119 and try to talk to them, and they receive my stories like in a good way, responsive and being a positive. But from what I saw earlier, the calm and relief, it also helped the sufferer to face these mental health problems. I think there's a good potential from it.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions? Yeah, I think it's really important to raise our awareness about mental health, especially in these pandemic situations. Thank you, Ibu Fauzia Nabila Basri.
Thank
and
you.
we go further for the third presentations, Pak Tunjung Riyadi with the title Educational Animation, Environmentally Friendly Palm Oil Based Products.
Okay, I will share the video shortly.
Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Tunjung Riyadi from Animation Program, Visual Communication Design Department, School of Design, Bina Nusantara University. Today, I will present an animation project about the environment. This project is the result of research that produced an educational animation about the environment. The title of this paper is Educational Animation, Environmentally Friendly Palm Oil-Based Products. Introduction. The background of this project was made. As a country located in tropical climate region, Indonesia is a country rich in biological natural resources. The potential of forests and plantation has become natural resource that has been owned for a long time. Oil palm plantation are one of the largest economic commodities in Indonesia. The size of the plantation and palm oil industry in Indonesia, on the other hand, also has certain impact on the environment. Deforestation is a major problem which also impacts on endemic animal population in Indonesia, such as orangutan, elephant, and tigers. Due to the damage and loss of their habitat area, these animals are endangered. The negative impact arising from the size of the palm oil industry raises concern about environmental sustainability. But on the other hand, this industry also needed by community. This has led to the emergence of organizations or institutions that apply certification standard in the palm oil industry. One of them is the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, or RSPO. The problem is the lack of public understanding of the influence of the use of palm oil-based product on the environment and the lack of community knowledge about RSPO, environmentally labeled products. For the reason, the public needs to be educated with information about environmental sustainability and the importance of sustainable production. the communication solution to create a series of campaign on the issue. Of course, it takes lots of material a long time. One way to educate public is by educational animation. Through an animation that explains the process chain of product made from oil palm, the audience will easily find out products that need special attention in consuming them. Supporting data. RSPO, Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. The Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, or RSPO, is a multi-stakeholder global initiative on sustainable palm oil. RSPO members and participants in their activities come from a variety of different backgrounds, including plantation companies, processors and traders, consumer goods, produce and retail of palm oil products, financial institutions, environmental NGOs, and social NGOs from many countries that produce or use palm oil. Eco-labeling. Eco-labeling is a label of product that has better overall environmental preference. Purchasing a label is one way of delivering information to consumers about the environmental quality associated with the product. Supporting data, communication and message approach. To make the concept educational animation, the cognitive approach is Bloom taxonomy becomes the initial reference, namely in the section to remember and understand information. Principle of animation for supporting educational animation. In making this educational animation, the designer used 12 animation principles that are the basic of the animation movement. Visual design, supporting data. We use isometric style for asset visualization. Furthermore, in the process creating visual asset design, the isometric approach is used as a reference. Isometric is visual style that quite popular among graphic designers. The shape is simple, unique, and has dimension. This makes the beauty of design. Design method. The method used in the production pipeline approach in animation. First, pre-production. The initial process of the concept of message, script, and storyboard, which are the main foundation for the final outcome of educational animation. Production. Visual design based on concept in the pre-production and the process of moving object or character to animate cinematography. Post-production. The result of the production enter editing process to strengthen the message, adding sound effect and color correction to be more interesting and artistic. Result and discussion. Key fact. First, public does not know the most of daily product use are based on palm oil. The community is not aware that they are contributing to environmental damage through the use of daily product made from palm oil. Introducing the RSPO concept as a solution to meeting community needs while maintaining environmental sustainability. Script treatment. The story presented in package in simple language so that it is easily understood by the audience. By providing information about palm oil products that have the potential damage to the environment, followed by a brief introduction of the RSPO, and close with an invitation to the audience to become critical and active consumer. Premise. Providing education about the importance of role of consumer in the use of sustainability palm oil product for the environmental sustainability, and introducing RSPO as a solution to the problem between needs and environmental sustainability. The animation is divided into 3 message sections. The first part presents the fact about the nature and the oil palm industry in Indonesia. Tells about Indonesia's natural wealth, including the palm oil industry, which needs environmental attention. This is cut from scene part 1.
Kelapa sawit dan produk turunannya menjadi salah satu komoditas utama ekspor Indonesia. untuk memenuhi kebutuhan pasar minyak sawit dunia, Indonesia telah membuka 14,6 juta hektar hutan dan telah mengekspor 34,5 juta ton minyak sawit per tahun 2018. Untuk memperluas dan meningkatkan produksi, segala cara digunakan, termasuk eksploitasi hutan dan membunuh satwa liar yang dianggap sebagai hama. Kalau begitu, apakah solusinya mengharuskan kita tidak lagi menggunakan minyak sawit?
Discuss in part 2.
Sebagian besar produk sehari-hari yang kita gunakan berbahan dasar minyak kelapa sawit. Mulai dari produk makanan, produk kebersihan tubuh, produk pembersih, hingga bahan bakar. Roundtable of Sustainable Palm Oil atau RSPO merupakan organisasi non-profit yang mengusahakan produksi minyak sawit berkelanjutan. RSPO mengumpulkan semua pihak yang terlibat dalam proses produksi minyak sawit yang terdiri dari perusahaan perkebunan, pengolah dan pedagang, produsen barang konsumen, retailer produk minyak sawit, institusi keuangan, serta lembaga swadaya masyarakat, bidang lingkungan, dan sosial.
And this is the third part. In the third part, about the important role of consumer in the realization of sustainable production pattern.
Konsumen berperan penting untuk mewujudkan kelestarian lingkungan dengan mengkonsumsi produk dengan sertifikasi RSPO. Produk dengan sertifikasi RSPO dapat dikenali dengan label yang tertera pada kemasan. Sayangnya saat ini, produk berlabel RSPO belum banyak kita jumpai di pasaran karena kurangnya minat dari konsumen. Namun, jika konsumen dengan aktif menyuarakan keinginannya terhadap produk RSPO, maka akan lebih banyak produk RSPO yang diproduksi untuk memenuhi permintaan konsumen. Dengan memilih produk RSPO, konsumen secara tidak langsung ikut berpartisipasi dalam menjaga kelestarian lingkungan. Sudah saatnya kita...
Conclusion. Researchers took the focus educational animation on the production of palm oil product labeled RSPO, which is environmentally friendly. How to educate through animated media was chosen so that communication about RSPO is interesting and accessible to understand. Animation are designed with simple, attractive, and communicative. With the educational animation, consumers are expected to be lured to learn more about the issues of environmentally friendly products, not limited to the RSPO program, but are moved to pay more attention to the other environmentally friendly products. Be a smart consumer by caring for the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Tunjung Riyadi. Yes, this is really, really important because palm oil is really become issue, especially in Europe, in Western countries. And we, Indonesia, have a lot of palm oil plantation here. So any question for this presentation? Okay, Pak Tunjung Riyadi, is there any animation in English?
No, but the film is about 3 minutes. Let me play this animated film to answer a question, but this is with subtitle. Just 3 minutes, if let me in. But the film just 3 minutes totally. Okay. Because this is for Indonesian audience. If let me play this animated the film to answer question, the audience can know about the RSPO label. Okay. I can play this.
Yeah. Can you?
Yes. Wait a minute.
Indonesia menyimpan sejuta pesona keindahan alam. Di saat alam menghasilkan keindahan dan potensi keanekaragaman yang dapat dinikmati bersama manusia justru memanfaatkannya untuk memenuhi kebutuhannya sendiri. Kelapa sawit dan produk turunannya menjadi salah satu komoditas utama ekspor Indonesia. Untuk memenuhi kebutuhan pasar minyak sawit dunia, Indonesia telah membuka 14,6 juta hektar hutan dan telah mengekspor 34,5 juta ton minyak sawit per tahun 2018. Untuk memperluas dan meningkatkan produksi, segala cara digunakan, termasuk eksploitasi hutan dan membunuh satwa liar yang dianggap sebagai hama. Kalau begitu, apakah solusinya mengharuskan kita tidak lagi menggunakan minyak sawit? Sayangnya, tidak sesederhana itu. Hal ini karena sebagian besar produk sehari-hari yang kita gunakan berbahan dasar minyak kelapa sawit. Mulai dari produk makanan, produk kebersihan tubuh, produk pembersih, hingga bahan bakar. Ya, kita sangat bergantung pada minyak sawit. Lalu, apakah mungkin memenuhi kebutuhan tanpa harus merusak lingkungan? Roundtable of Sustainable Palm Oil atau RSPO merupakan organisasi non-profit yang mengusahakan produksi minyak sawit berkelanjutan. RSPO mengumpulkan semua pihak yang terlibat dalam proses produksi minyak sawit yang terdiri dari perusahaan perkebunan, pengolah dan pedagang, produsen barang konsumen, retailer produk minyak sawit, institusi keuangan, serta lembaga swadaya masyarakat, bidang lingkungan, dan sosial. Hal ini berarti, dengan menjadi anggota RSPO, pengelolaan minyak sawit dilakukan dengan menerapkan prinsip berkelanjutan sesuai dengan standar sertifikasi. Ketika semua pihak sadar untuk berkontribusi dalam menerapkan perilaku berkelanjutan, produksi minyak sawit menjadi layak bagi lingkungan, tatanan sosial, dan memberikan manfaat ekonomis jangka panjang. Namun, upaya ini hanya akan berjalan baik jika setiap pihak berkomitmen mengambil bagiannya masing-masing. Konsumen berperan penting untuk mewujudkan kelestarian lingkungan dengan mengkonsumsi produk dengan sertifikasi RSPO. Produk dengan sertifikasi RSPO dapat dikenali dengan label yang tertera pada kemasan. Sayangnya saat ini, produk berlabel RSPO belum banyak kita jumpai di pasaran karena kurangnya minat dari konsumen. Namun, jika konsumen dengan aktif menyuarakan keinginannya terhadap produk RSPO, maka akan lebih banyak produk RSPO yang diproduksi untuk memenuhi permintaan konsumen. Dengan memilih produk RSPO, konsumen secara tidak langsung ikut berpartisipasi dalam menjaga kelestarian lingkungan. Sudah saatnya kita ambil bagian dalam menjaga kelestarian alam Indonesia. Mari ubah kebiasaan kita jadi konsumen yang aktif. Beli yang baik, beli yang eco-label.
Thank you very much, Pak Tunjung, for this very nice, very informative video animations. And I think it's really important for the customer worldwide, especially for the Western citizen, because they really have a very tensions, really have concerns about the environmental issue. One of the issue that's always rise in Europe is about the palm oil, Indonesian palm oil. I know this because our Indonesian ambassador always convey this message about the palm oil, the environmental friendly. Okay, any question from other participants? So thank you very much, Pak Tunjung Riyadi.
Okay, thank you.
And for the next presentation is Pak Indra Prawira. The title, The Media Agenda Setting on Indonesian Forest Fires, Content Analysis Study on Free Indonesia Online News Media.
Okay, I will play the video short.
Silakan. Hello everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Indra Prawira. First of all,
Christian,
on
there is
behalf of
no
our team from
slide.
Communication Department.
Excuse me, Pak Christian.
Yeah.
The video is not working.
Oh, okay. I will restart the screen sharing.
This is my screen. I think it is working in my screen.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Indra Prawira. First of all, on behalf of our team from Communication Department, Bina Nusantara University, we would like to thank to conference committee for giving us the opportunity to present our paper. We also would like to thank to Research and Technology Transfers Office, RTTO Bina Nusantara University, who fund the research. And thanks to you, participants, by attending this conference room. We hope to get fruitful feedbacks from you by the end of this presentation. Well, I would like to share our presentation. Right, this one. Oops. Right. Our research titled The Media Agenda Setting on an Indonesian Forest Fires, Content Analysis Study on 3 Indonesian online news media. As you can see in the picture, Australian Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority map shows us the hotspot and the forest fires that occur in Indonesia in 2019. Indonesian forest fire have become international concern regarding its huge catastrophe. It is not only affect Indonesian, but also affect neighboring countries such as Malaysia and Singapore. The Indonesian National Disaster Management Organization, BNPB, recorded at least 857,000 acres of land burned in Indonesia from January to October 2019. Forest fire occurs in many areas in Indonesia, such as South Sumatra, Jambi, Riau, Central Kalimantan, West Kalimantan, and even in Banten, near to Jakarta. The media agenda setting, it has the forest fire has caused direct impact to Indonesian living in the forest area. However, most of Indonesians felt the impact of the forest fire through the news in the mass media. Media agenda setting is an agenda being set by the media to create public awareness and concern of salient issues. Media agenda setting on an issue influenced by journalism culture applied in particular country or a region. However, research also shows dynamic of agenda setting due to change of value in a society. The Industry 5.0 is known as the recent development in the society. The development of Industry 5.0 has the potential to provide better benefits in serving the community. In the media industry, technological development of Industry 5.0 is adopted in order to gain media company sustainability by applying search engine optimization, or we call it SEO. SEO known as a sophisticated artificial intelligence or AI to investigate user behavior through search engine, such as Google and Yahoo. The media plays an important role in the distribution of information on ecological issues such as forest fire and other environmental issues. Therefore, the Industry 5.0 as a new culture in journalism is important in news production and dissemination. News on forest fire could influence the government in making policy to handle forest fires in a short and a long term. And this studio then asks, what is the media agenda setting of Indonesian online news media during forest fire in 2019 in Indonesia? We also want to ask the influence of SEO, search engine optimization, application in the newsroom in reporting forest fire. In order to understand the research, we also collected, we also gather, we also discuss some of theoretical backgrounds. In the agenda setting theory, we understand that media scholars have developed a new theory related to digital development, such as theory of voice, actor's role theory, normative and holistic perspective. However, theories such as agenda setting, priming, framing still occupy important position in media studies. The media selects, produces, and interprets reality in society. The background theory is also from Industry 5.0 in digital development. A Japanese scholar, Harayama, said that Industry 5.0 is a concept emphasizing on the development of Industry 4.0 to increase the individual relationships potential with technology to support the people's life quality development through super smart society. The use of search engine optimization, SEO, utilizing computer technology and AI, and the artificial intelligence, has formed a new culture in the newsroom of Indonesian media. Indonesian forest fire is a result of many factors. However, it is commonly known to be related to illegal burning. The phenomenon of illegal burning is causing a sustainable impact on a number of countries in North America, so European, Australia, and Indonesia. There are important matters in forest fire research that is causing the forest fire. The event itself, the forest fire prevention. Quality information in forest policy is of primary importance in formulating appropriate forest fire combating policy. The research method, this study adopts a mixed method analysis of news content analysis and an ethnographical study to understand the development of Industry 5.0 in digital journalism related to forest fire reports. It focuses on media discourse by analyzing the content of published news in Indonesia, online news media, there is Kompas.com, Liputan6.com, and Detik.com. The research finding, I have to tell you that the data is collected in a period of October 2019 to January 2020. We have collected 291 news items. The content analysis focus on news sources, prevention of forest fire, the impact of forest fire, and the event of forest fire. analysis on Compass.com, the total of news study in from Compass.com, we have 102 news stories regarding forest fire in Indonesia. A total 44% of news came from the government, both the central and regional governments. Police and military officers are also included as government representation, while the rest of the stories sources from people, representative, politicians, environmental activists, and observers. There's 9% of total news that has been observed focused on forest fire prevention, and 20% of news focuses on restoring and land rehabilitation and provide law enforcement to those causing the forest fire. We also analyze the Liputan6.com. There are 8% of the story are focused on efforts to prevent the forest fire. The highest number is 21% of the total news focused on recovery or rehabilitation after the forest fire. Various impact on multiple fields are contained in Liputan6 in quite large number story. It shows that the impact of forest fire is not merely an environmental issue. So it's become interesting for many readers, so that it becomes again a setting for Liputan6.com. The Tik.com is highly productive in producing news on forest fire from October 2019 to January 2020, with totaling 165 published news. The Tik.com focus on reporting the actual occurrence of forest fires, such as the description of forest fire event, the extent of burnt land, and the suppression action. There's 48% of the total news reported incident or the event of the forest fire. The conclusion, the study applies an univariate analysis of news focus, news sources, prevention, impact, event of the forest fire. Preliminary data shows that different focus on online news media in constructing news about forest fire. It is shown that the government is the primary source for news construction, while the media shows low attention to forest fire prevention efforts. This research has not yet concluded the data findings and discussions, because the study continues to treat ethnographical study of online news media in Indonesia that encompass the Tik and Liputan6.com. We also plan to interview related sources to forest fires, such as government, academics in the area, and non-governmental organization activists or NGO. That's all for the moment. We hope to get some feedbacks for you participants and also from the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Indra Prawira. It's really important topic, because the forest fires is like annual problem. And it's usually during the July, August, the summer session, yeah, the hot session. Yeah, any question for this presentation, please? Yeah,
Can
Ibu
I
Amia.
ask question? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Pak Indra, thank you. It's very important and interesting topic. My question is, after you comparing those three online media, what do you think? Which media that do you think have a better media agenda for our forest sustainability, and also which media that you think have a better media framing for forest sustainability? Have you compared or you have a sense of it?
Yeah, it's an early conclusion, I think, but it's a preliminary conclusion. But we can say that Kompas.com has better agenda in the reporting forest fire during forest fire in 2019 to 2020. But Detik.com is the most highly productive, the most we gather a lot of news item from the published news from the Detik.com, which but the content itself is on most of them are reporting about the event, about the unique event of the forest fires. Well, yes, our preliminary research shows that Kompas.com has the better idea of the media agenda setting. But that's not the question. The question is whether the Industry 5.0 related to their reports on forest fire has impacted in a better way or the other way. But we cannot conclude it at this moment because we want to further investigate how it is practiced in the newsroom.
Okay, thank you, Pak.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, I think sufficient. Thank you, Pak Indra Prawira. And then we can go further for the fifth presentations. And it is my paper with the title, Differentiated Instruction Implementation, a Survey Study Among Elementary School. Here, I also introduce my colleague, Pak Budi Sulaiman, who also join us in this room. So, the video, Pak Christian will share.
Hello everyone, I'm Nanang Suprayogi. I'm happy here to present my research study about differentiated instruction implementation, a survey study among elementary school teachers. This study, held by a team, consists of myself, Nanang Suprayogi, and my colleague Budi Sulaiman and Bedoy. We are from Psychology Department, Faculty of Humanities, Bina Nusantara University, Jakarta, Indonesia. We will start this presentation with the abstract. The student in the classroom come from various characteristics and various backgrounds. Teacher dealing with this diversity of student need to apply various teaching strategies as well as learning activities, rather than using one-size-fits-all teaching strategy. Many authors suggest applying differentiated instruction to cope with student diversity. Therefore, this study aimed to assess the teacher understanding of DI and compare it with teacher implementation of DI among elementary school teachers. The study involved 113 elementary school teachers from 5 schools, 2 public schools and 3 private schools. The result of the study revealed that the mean score of teacher understanding of DI is 104.42, while the mean score of teacher implementation of DI is 98.51. Using the paired sample t-test, it showed that there is a significant difference between teacher understanding of DI and teacher implementation of DI. As to the finding, the study recommends schools on providing the program to increase the DI implementation among teachers. The programs such as professional development on DI, sharing session among teachers who already have a good experience on DI implementations. We continue with the theory of differentiated instructions. What is differentiated instruction? Differentiated instruction is a teaching approach recommended to cater the diversity of students as well as to improve the student achievement. Teachers who teach students in their class realize that their students are diverse. Student diverse in ability, interest, readiness, learning profile, and therefore need teaching approach to cope with this kind of student diversity. We can see a lot of explanation about differentiated instructions in many literature, but the very common authors, Carol Tomlinson, she said that DI is a classroom practice that looks able with the reality that kids are different, and the most effective teachers do whatever it takes to hook the whole range of kids on learning. This is kind of picture depict the diversity of students. Suppose that there are many students in the jungle, consists of elephant, monkey, birds, fish, dog, and etc. And teacher says to him, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. Of course, this is not fair because every student in the jungle has different characteristic, has different potential, and has different ability. So this is really not fair. If we go to the research findings from many literature, it says showed us that the growth of student diversity and the educational quality is inevitable, and we really need to improve the academic achievement. Therefore, many authors suggest to adopt a differentiated instruction to tackle this problem. But why DI? According to the research findings, DI implementation results in higher academic score on reading, on student literacy, on math, and also increase the motivation of students. We can see from various research findings. Do different learning styles require DI strategies? The answer is yes, of course. Students with different learning styles achieve better learning outcomes when confronted with teaching strategies that respond to their learning preference. Here also other finding from the literature, from the study, that's the result of the experiment using differentiated set of learning tasks for different subgroup of students showed substantially greater effectiveness compared to the traditional style of teaching. So this is the experimental research about the DI implementations. Yeah. DI is promising, but changing the ingrained instructional approach is easier said than done, because teachers continue with their traditional teaching style, and therefore the teacher understanding of DI and the teacher implementation of DI should be studied. And this paper tried to examine the differences between the teacher understanding of DI and the teacher implementation of DI. This study involved by 113 participants from of elementary school teachers from 5 schools, 2 public schools and 3 private schools. The measure we use the scale of teacher understanding of different instruction and the scale of teacher implementation of different instruction, made by developed by Carol Tomlinson, which comprises of subscale, student interest, assessment, learning planning, lesson planning, content, process, and product. The data collections, we do it through paper and pencil questionnaire and also through online. The reliability of teacher understanding of different instructions, 0.921 Cronbach alpha, while the reliability of scale of teacher implementation of DI is 954 Cronbach alpha, which is good, which is high and good. So this is the result. The mean score of understanding of DI is 104.42, while the implementation of DI, the mean score of implementation of DI 98.51. The score showed that the teacher understanding of DI is higher than the teacher implementation of DI. So they understand that the DI is important, that DI is really good to deal with the diversity of students. However, the DI implementation is lower than their understanding. And comparing to the value of 80% of as a critical benchmark of criteria for master learning, the DI implementation is still below the benchmark. And we will see the differences between the DI implementation and the DI understanding. Using the paired sample t-test, it showed that the difference between teacher understanding of DI and teacher implementation of DI is significantly different because it is below the 0.05. This can be concluded that there is a gap between teacher understanding of DI and teacher implementation of DI among elementary school teachers. Then we go further for the public school and private school. In public school, we see that the teacher implementation of DI is, the mean score is 88.15, and it is higher than the teacher understanding of DI, which is 85.33. The result reflects that teachers in public school are more confident to implement the DI. However, there is no significant difference between teacher understanding and teacher implementation of DI in public school. Private school, we see that the mean score of teacher understanding of DI is 120 and 12.29, while the DI implementation is 102.79. Here we can see that the DI implementation is lower than the DI understanding of the understanding of DI. And there is also difference significant between teacher understanding of DI and teacher implementation of DI. We will end this presentation by the discussion and recommendations. This study showed that the mean score of teacher understanding of DI is 104.42, and for teacher implementation of DI is 98.51. There is significant difference between teacher understanding and DI, teacher implementation of DI. And if we adjust the mean score of DI implementation and DI understanding to the percentage, it's become 81.08 and 74.77. And if we compare to the value of the critical benchmark of mastery learning, which is 80%, this is still below the benchmark, especially for the DI implementations. And we go directly to the recommendation. This study recommends school on providing the program to increase the DI implementation among teachers. The programs such as professional development on DI, sharing session among teachers who already have a good experience on DI implementation. Thank you.
Okay, that's the presentation for my paper. Any question for this? Okay, question from Ibu Daniar Asmarani. Do you have example of the activities that do in classroom? Yes, the example is the basic thought, the basic concept of differentiated instruction is we have to have several activities, several learning activities, learning process. So let's say for the art, drawing or painting, teachers should provide several learning activities. Let's say drawing, painting on canvas, or painting on using crayon, or painting using whatever. So there are several activities, so student can choose with their interest activity. Here the concept is to provide several options, so every student can have more options, not only one, because the traditional teaching approach is mainly only use one teaching activity, as we can as we really know, as call it as one size fits all teaching strategy. So here we use several teaching strategy, several learning activities in one class. So there are various actions. This number 2 is DI can apply outside classroom activity too? Yes, of course. Let's say we make several groups, 3 or 4 groups. So one group do the learning activities inside, and other groups do the learning activities outside, and let's say in lab, or we can make a lesson plan like this. So various. And at the end, we also provide various of product. So the product not only one's version, but various version. Let's say it's about the talking about the pandemic. So the one group might produce the poster, other group might produce the video, other group may produce the podcast or everything. But the main thing is about the pandemic situations. So this is the concept of differentiated instruction. So we provide several learning activities, we provide several learning outcome product. That's the implementation of DI. Any questions? Okay, I think sufficient. Thank you. And then we go further for the last presentations. Pak Servo Kaisar Prayoga with the title, Is Pandemic Really the Villain? COVID-19 and Narrative Strategies of Contagion.
Okay, I will share the video.
Hello everyone, my name is Servo Cesar Prayoga. together with Mr. Eki Manjaya and Abdul Aziz Turhan Kariko, we're going to present our papers. Is pandemic really the villain? COVID-19 and the narrative strategies of contagion. This is our point of discussion, the introduction, methodology, theories and discourses, and the conclusion. This is our introduction. The emergence of COVID-19 virus in 2019 makes us revisit Contagion, a film that made by Steven Soderbergh in 2011. In this paper, the researchers will elaborate the current discourses of contagion and its narrative strategy in relation with health issues, especially the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our research questions. The first one is, to what extent that viruses and pandemic are portrayed as the villain in the movie's narrative strategy? How do the characters deal and cope with the pandemic? And how is the film relevant with the reality? This paper used textual analysis to examine the issues surrounding the movie. The researchers tried to examine the film in its relation to narrative strategy, especially the outbreak narrative and the multi-narrative or hyperlink cinema. This is the two concepts that we're going to try to present in our papers. The first one is the outbreak narrative. Outbreak narrative is basically a formulaic plot line that containing particular sequence. The first one is the identification of an emerging infection, and then the discussion of global networks through which disease travel, and the chronicle of the epidemiologic work that results in disease containment. As we can see, this formula matches the contagion storyline, which also has similar plot. This is basically the stages of the outbreak narrative in Contagion. The first phase is the outbreaks itself, and the phase 2 is the research process that being done by scientists and the government and the agencies. And the third phase is the curative process where the vaccine and the antidote is developed, manufactured, and distributed. The second concept is the multi-narrative or hyperlink cinema. This technique is often used by Steven Soderbergh in any other of his films, such as Syriana and Traffic. So basically, the elements of this multi-narrative or hyperlink cinema contain 5 traits. The first one is the various timeline and the character's personal history. So basically, there are some multiple characters where the characters also have different arcs. And the storyline is also interwoven and intertwined between those multiple characters. The film structure also moving back and forth by using flashback and fast forward. So basically the plot is non-linear plot. And it's edited with cross-cutting or parallel editing methods. And the last one is the plot twist. It is usually containing plot twist on the end of the film. This makes us digest the film a little bit more by discussing about the role of the pandemic as the villain. As you can see that the MEV1, the virus on the contagion, in the contagion, and COVID-19 can be considered as a mixture of all pandemics from ancient times to the present day. It also has the same various effect that strikes on the multi-sectors. And from our point of view as a human, this pandemic seems valid to be justified as the enemy or antagonist because it's threatened our lives for sure. And why the MEV1 is the perfect villain for Contagion, and why COVID-19 is also qualified to compare with the stories. John Truby once explained that in terms of antagonists, the filmmaker must create an opponent who is exceptionally good at attacking your hero's greatest weakness. In Contagion, as well as in real world, we are fully aware that humans are also a social creature. We rely on social interaction and collaboration. The virus, the MEV1, as well as COVID-19, creates situations that nullify those strengths by attacking our medical, social, economical, all aspects at once. So it attacks all sectors simultaneously. And the situation also reveals that we are human our dependency on the social interaction is also our weaknesses. And the only way to stop the MEV1 and COVID-19 is to find a cure or a vaccine, something that we haven't succeeded at that time. Robert McKee also writes that the truer character is the reveal of choices a human being makes under pressure. As we can see, the contagion and COVID-19 pandemic, it's forces us, it's forcing the people, it's pressuring the institution and government into difficult choices, such as making area lockdown and quarantine, investigating the index case, applying economical funds because there's many industry that has been collapsed, as well as running massive healthcare and safety protocol because there's many people that being affected by this pandemic. Some of them were having physical or mental health issues, and they must find alternative ways to keep survive. But we also have another questions in our paper that, is pandemic the real and the only villain? If we look at the end of the story in Contagion, MEV1 is basically inspired by the trail of the Nipah virus in Malaysia, which similarly involves the disturbance of a bat colony by deforestation, which are the project of human. So basically, we can see that actually it's not the virus that become the real villain, it's the human itself that bring the ecological disaster to themselves. The World Economic Forum said that 31% of the outbreaks of new and emerging disease like Nipah virus, Zika, and Ebola are linked to the deforestation, where the wild animals are also being driven out from their natural habitats and closer to the human population, therefore creating a greater frequency of zoonotic disease that being spilled over into the people. And it's just not about the wild animals that could migrate to these populated areas, it's also the pathogen that they brought with them. The studies has shown that deforestation and loss of wildlife also increase the infectious disease, where we already lost 60% of our wildlife in the last 15 years, while at the same time, the number of the infectious disease has quadrupled in the last 60 years. So basically, we can see the connection. We can start connecting the dots, where the health of the ecosystem and the health of humans are actually linked. This is what makes Contagion and COVID-19 pandemic so relatable. These findings also lead to the ultimate questions of the story, which are, what is the greater function of the MEV1 and COVID-19? The answer can be summed up on 3 points. The first one is, it reveals humans' true nature. It also shows that we as humans are also have limits. But with the right allies and collaboration, we can overcome any challenges. The MEV1 and the COVID-19 has profound and specific effect on the story and the protagonist, which in this case, it may or may not make people wiser, both in film and real world. The conclusion of our paper can be described in these sentences. By choosing with the chosen narrative strategy, it is concluded that Contagion does represent real environmental health issues, especially the one that is related with the pandemic phenomenon, whether it is existing, ongoing, and or upcoming pandemic. Humans are part of the ecosystem, and also we are also part of biospheric atmosphere, and therefore we are supposed to be the agents that bring balance with our surrounding nature. Our role as a human being, as part of this biospheric atmosphere, could be done by constantly maintaining a healthy relationship with the nature on a daily basis. Contagion and COVID-19 pandemic should serve as a reminder for the audience to have a strong awareness on about the topics of ecosystem and public health. This is our reference, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak Servo, for the very beautiful presentations.
Thank you.
And any questions for this interesting topic?
I also would really want to suggest everyone to watch the film if you have spare time, because the film itself, it really hyper realistic, where we can learn so much from the film itself, because by the time when Soderbergh developed the script and the story of the film, it's the same time where SARS happened actually. So basically they developed the script, they really do an extensive research on the real phenomenon.
How long the duration of the film?
Probably the duration is 100 minutes. It's less than 2 hours actually.
Okay, normal film. Okay. Yep. Any questions for this? Maybe a suggestion for us, Pak Servo. You said in the conclusions we have to balance our to live together with the environment.
Yes.
Could you please give example of this specifically in Jakarta, in metropolitan area? Okay.
I mean, if we talk about this ecological issues, yeah, there's so many activities that we can do, but I'm also a financial planner, so basically one of the projects that we might be able to contribute, this is a government project actually, is the investing in green sukuk. So basically a green sukuk is a government obligation where the fund that we gave will be used to help the government launching any projects that related to ecological issues, whether it is reducing the emission carbon or having the garbage to be recycled and everything. So basically, if it's one of the instrument that we can invest, so we as the citizen, as a concerned urban citizen, can also contribute to the ecological improvement of our nature.
Thank you very much, Pak Servo.
You're welcome.
Yes, this is really important to be live together with the environment, to live balance, and to serve a better for human and also for the nature. I think we already reached 5:10 time. So thank you for all the presenters. Thank you for all the participants, and for the certificates, the committee will send directly to through email. Pak Christian, you will take a photo for
Yes,
photo?
please.
Okay.
Please start your video, everybody.
My web camera is broken, so I think yeah.
Fine, but your picture is really handsome.
Okay. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. Okay. 3, 2, 1, cheers. Smile, everybody.